What's good to it, dude, man? It's your boy Cowboy Charles back at another banger video today. And look, I never covered the news whenever it came to the MyCareer Q&As by Mike Wang. So today we cover that, right? I touched very slightly on this topic in my last build, not in my last video, right? So I went through and I read the MyCareer Q&A from Mike Wang, and it says, can you apply cap breakers earned from build specializations to any attribute, right? He responded, he says, cap breakers earned via build specialization must be applied within the attribute category you specialize in or applied to a physical attribute, right? For example, if you earned a shooting cap breaker via the build specialization, you can apply that to cap breaker only to your 3-point, your midi, your free throw, speed, agility, strength, or vertical, right? Which I feel like makes sense, right? I don't know anybody who's gonna use it on their physicals because I feel like that's not gonna make sense too. But I definitely feel as though that doing it on, if you're gonna make it so where you're getting a cap breaker and a special build specialization, what's the point of specializing if that's not gonna be what a cap breaker is, right? So I definitely understand that, right? Let's read this next thing. Can we complete the build specialization quest in single player modes? Build specialization quest can be completed either in your single player MyCareer or in the multiplayer modes. Choice is yours. That makes it good. That makes it so if you want to grind for it, it doesn't make it so where everybody has to go to rec and they're throwing up 50 shots to try to make 12 threes, you know what I'm saying, just to get those shots made. I know some people are, and I know a lot of people not, because you can just go to rookie and you can get up. I can get 99 points, which is 33 threes. I'm not going to do that in the rec, right? So, and then, if you're scoring, 100 points a game, you're playing on 12 minutes, that's what, 33, whatever 2,000 divided by 33 is, right? So that'll take out that many games to get your shooting stuff. Cool. Or if you're doing assists, it's a lot easier to get 35 assists playing rookie than it is whenever you play into the rec or something like that. Especially park, like you're not getting that many shots up. You might get 7 shots up, but if you got 7 threes that you made, that means your teammate, they're not getting their build specialization unless they're like something like rebounding, which rebounding, that is probably one of the only categories I suggest people going to the actual rec or something like that, and you can do that. Anything else, go to MyCareer. All right, let's hop into this third thing. It says, can any attribute be boosted with custom takeover? You can boost any non-physical attribute via the custom takeover, regardless of your current rating for the attribute. So they're saying you can boost anything that is not your speed, your agility, your strength, or your vertical, right? And so Badge Plug here says RIP Slice Takeover, the only one that gave speed and agility. And they're probably gonna have some in NBA 2K26. Just to keep it from the fact of it being only 3-point or any type of not, like I said, it's non-physical attribute being able to be used as a takeover. They probably have something to make it so where people who use those type of takeovers, that they get it on NBA 2K26, right? So just will there be a boost for turning the layup meter off? Just like turning shot meter off for shots, meter off will give you a slightly larger green window for layups too. I know like Dime Work, he used layups a lot. And I might got to go through and learn the layup, got to give me a layup bag or I can actually start greening that, So I definitely might go into that realm of it just to make sure I'm not in any aspect like put to where I'm at a disadvantage, right? So figure out that, man, and figure it out early, bro. You figured out early. You will be better off in the long run. Like I wish I would have figured out rhythm shooting earlier in the game with knowing it gives me a bigger boost than button shooting. I know for sure if I would have figured out rhythm shooting early in the game, I'd have been even more OP even earlier, right? So yeah. This next question said, are free throws green or miss? Is there RNG? Free throws on all-star difficulty or above are green or miss? Pure green window, no RNG. It's good to know. You go back to greening them Steph Curry free throws, and that means there's no gonna be, I can put a 55 free throw. Unless you just time it every single time. But close game scenarios, it's gonna be a lot more costly. And speaking of that, right? Speaking of that, whenever you go into NBA 2K26, be weary of how you're making builds, right? One of the biggest things that it showed us in the builder, whenever they broke it down to us, was a free throw rating, getting like a plus 20 with 2 cap breakers, right? And don't get me wrong, it might sound like that's a smart thing to do, but you also just have to watch and see how you can tweak the build in different ways, right? And do a higher interior or a higher block. That is definitely like something that you see and you can critique, right? But then you go into something like free throw. Free throw is definitely connected to your 3-point. So for that specific build, it's not going to be smarter to bump down your layup and then upgrade your free throw, right? So just definitely keep in mind all that stuff and how everything weighs, right? And really, after you get your first cap breaker, you'll really see like how good like you can make your build, how good all that stuff will be, because you don't know how much anything weighs from day one, right? So your day one build, you're not gonna know unless you're able to see the cap breaker menu. That's the only way you'll be able to see how much each category weighs, and that'll allow you to actually like make your second build. In my opinion, you're probably gonna make it a lot better than your first, just from learning that information, right? And then you can then plan in mind cap breakers, especially people who play the game. Like there's people who hit starter 3, last year very early into the game, and I feel as though them people who hit it very early, they can plan for cap breakers, right? Or they could just make another build. They probably up. I mean, they always content creators, so usually that high up early in the game. Swag had a question, right? It says in the actual courtside report, it says your mastery of this is talking about build specialization and then how you get your permanent max +1s and +2s, right? It says your mastery will earn you rewards tailored to each skill area, including skill boosts, unique apparel, and cosmetics, new archetype names, cap breakers for that skill area, and permanent max +1 and max +2. So he said, for the build specialization, does permanent mean that we will never lose the max +1 or max +2, and we can switch that out, different badges in that slot that still falls under the specialization that was selected? So of course, if you select shooting and you get a Hall of Fame Deadeye, right? You get a Hall of Fame Deadeye, and I want to put a max +1 on that. Does it work as in like I can switch that from now me going Deadeye Hall of Fame to Legend? Can I switch that to Limitless, going from Gold to Hall of Fame, or going from going from Hall of Fame to Legend, right? Or he said, does it mean that once we put the badge in that max slot, is it permanent? Kind of like how the badge elevators was, where you can't switch out the different badges. His example he gave is like if I have 94 steal using max +1 on Interceptor, go from Hall of Fame to Legend, but then I get 5+ cap breakers and turn my 94 steal to 99. So now I have Legend Interceptor by default. Can I now switch my build specialization max +1 for Interceptor to something like Paint Controller, right? It makes perfect sense, but I do feel as though I took them saying the permanent max +1s is like, it's a perk, right? So I'm gonna compare that to every other badge perk, opposed to the badge elevators, right? So with other badge perks, how all those work, I know that y'all know, but how other max +1s work, you're able to switch them in and out, right? But permanent, I took as in it's not something that's like season centered, because in other 2Ks, it's probably, in 2K25, it was set up to where you get a max +1 whenever you hit level 30, I believe, and then you get your tier 1 max +1 at 30, and then your tier 2 max +1 at 15, right? So that makes it to where, but you can switch them in and out. Just the permanent part about it, I believe, is you don't have to unlock it. That's my assumption with it. I don't know if I covered this whenever I went over the build stuff, but Jumpman Germ posted something that says you can now view my players' unlockable body types before you create your build. I don't personally like a bigger size player. That's just me, honestly. I like to dribble, and I feel as though I move better whenever I'm a smaller player opposed to a bigger player. But that's just me personally. It could be something that's mental. I don't know. He also posted that the 2K has added a grandpa style free throw shot in NBA 2K26. And then some of the few archetype names are ISO Sniper, ISO Savant, Flamethrower, Cash Out, Fluid 4, No Fly Zone, Big Glide, and Launchpad, right? And then with ISO Sniper, their comparisons are Steve Nash, Trae Young, Steph Curry. With the ISO Savant, it is Nick Van Axel, Trae Young, Darius Garland. With the Flamethrower. Flamethrower is such a fire name. Flamethrower is really a fire name. It's Allen Houston, Lud Hudson, and Lou Hudson. Lou Hudson and J-Dub. And then with Cash Out, you got Steph Curry, Jameer Nelson, Darius Garland. With the Fluid 4, you have a 0102 Chris Webber. Hey, if y'all don't do y'all homework about Chris Webber, you have an all-time Jazz, AK-47, Kurlenko, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley had a great season last year. You have the no-fly zone with Mark Eaton, Wilt Chamberlain, Rudy Gobert. So that's definitely some type of, a lot of snatch blocks and not a lot of blocks, right? Nothing in the paint. Big Glide, you got Penny Hardaway, Luka Doncic, and then LaMelo Ball sounds like a bigger guard. And then Launchpad, you have Cam Whitmore, Jason Richardson, Brandon Miller. That's something. Jason Richardson, if y'all don't know, puncher, right? He's definitely somebody who's a very creative person whenever it comes to, dunk contests, stuff like that. I think he's one of the few people who was doing East Bays like crazy whenever he was in dunk contest. So that's definitely some type of slasher, right? Mike Wing also said that. So somebody asked Mike Wing, can you please ask what's the point of going in a high steal this year other than interceptions if pluck animations are pretty much gone? He said, Mike Wang says, the canned pluck steals are gone, but a high steal rating is still important for on-ball steals and blitzing, right? So I feel as though somebody asked down here, why is blitzing even in the game? That's one of the corner's mechanics. Right. I feel as though blitzing happens in real life, so why would you not want something like blitzing in the game? That doesn't make sense. If you're sitting there, your ball handler can't see that he's getting trapped and can't get off the ball. Blitzing should definitely be apparent, and it's the same exact way Madden has a strip animation, right? The one person hold the person, and while he's dealing with the one person who's holding him, you can get peanut punched. That's the same exact thing, just on 2K, right? Evan says the takeover related rewards are unlocked as you fill up. So wait, let me go back. Somebody asked him, custom takeover is a reward and not immediately available. I thought it would be in a rep, but it actually seems like it is tier reward system within the takeover. Many glossed over tokens and over 40 takeover related rewards. Custom takeover is final reward. Somebody said, yeah, I think it'll be similar to upgrading your takeover by levels, possibly. Evan said the takeover related rewards are unlocked as you fill up the takeover meter over multiple games, and custom takeover is the final reward. Of course, I report after creating your MyPlayer, you will be automatically assigned a takeover that best fits your archetype. As you heat up on the court and you fill up the 5 levels of your takeover over multiple games, you will unlock over 40 takeover related rewards. The final reward is custom takeover. This allows you to design your takeover from scratch, choosing the targeted attributes that are boosted, and pairing that with any takeover ability your build can use. Takeover rewards only need to be unlocked once, and the progress is shared across all saves, right? So it being auto-assigned, you have to keep in mind what your build is, right? If it's being auto-assigned, does that mean we can't change it? Since they said that there is about half of the takeovers this year opposed to 2K25, which means there's about 11, I think it says. It's about 11 or 20, or somewhere in that realm, right? So in between like 10 to 20 now, right? Opposed to what it was last year. I think last year was like 22, something like that. So that definitely gives it to where now, okay, you're gonna see the same takeover majority of the time. So that means it's only gonna be like one with deep bomber, one with the deep post bag, one with the rim guardian or the brigade bag. You know what I'm saying? Different stuff like that is gonna be one takeover for real that has that, right? And so I definitely say when they're making builds, keep in mind of that, because you could be a 3-point shooter and you get stuck with something like, I don't know, what's the poster one? Dunk machine or whatever it's called, right? So you just gotta be watching how you put your ratings whenever stuff like that, because all that stuff matters. You're gonna be stuck with that takeover until you unlock custom takeover. Or like I said, the game might have it to where like if you're eligible for the other one, you can get it, but it says automatically assigned. So I don't know if that means you can't change it or what. But then you have custom takeover, and like I already stated, you can't put any non-physical attribute on there, right? You can put any non-physical attribute on there. So I definitely feel as though you just have to play with the system and see what you can and can't do. Only thing that I read in here that makes me also think, as it says, any takeover ability your build can use. So I don't remember if you remember last year, but if you didn't have an 80 midi and a 93, you couldn't get Deep Bomber. So I wonder if, unless you had like an 89 3, you could still get like the sniper takeover. That'll give you like plus 15 on your 3-pointer. Then that's if you had like an 89, I believe. But I definitely feel like some people are having their mind, I'm gonna make a build with a 75 3 and a 93 midi, and then I'm gonna go Deep Bomber takeover. So it's not gonna work like that, in my opinion, because you're not eligible for it. You don't have a high enough 3, right? So that's just what I think. Y'all can let me know what y'all think, but that's just my personal ratings reveal. 2K posted the ratings reveal. It says the top attribute ratings will be released starting today, August 11th, right? And then it says that 2K Top 100 will be released starting August 16th. This week is, all right, so this week is the start of my team and the W, right? So that content will be coming this week. They usually post in between Tuesday and Thursday. So whether that's Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, I remember last week they posted the presentation on Wednesday, and then the actual builder stuff came out on Thursday. The week prior, for gameplay powered by Pro Play, all that stuff came out that Thursday. So you definitely just have to, keep in mind of all that. I'm glad that they even gave us like the roadmap stuff, so it's not like you're just getting smacked with different stuff. But anyway, man, it's me, boy Cowboys Raw. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I keep y'all updated with content, whether it's on TikTok Shorts, Instagram Reels, just on Twitter. Period. Trying to keep my name in the community, man, and keep on pushing for this 1,000 subs, man. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. New, I'm out, bro. And if you're looking for any other gameplay, you need to check out my last video yesterday. It shows y'all the different stuff in the builder, different insights for it. Hey, just trying to help y'all out.